Good evening and welcome to Face to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Niresh Eliathambi. There's a lot of wonderful things to say about Sri Lanka. We all know that. It's called the island of paradise for good reason. But one aspect which perhaps we don't appreciate is that it is one of the world's most vibrant democracies. Despite all the ups and downs, various people trying to wield absolute power over the last 76 years from time to time, still for all, when it comes to having elections and voting and sending a powerful message to the powers that be and to the rest of the democratic world, Sri Lanka is second to none. And we saw exactly that at last week's general election. And to discuss this further, I have with me this evening Mr. Maithri Gunaratne, President's Council, former governor of 2 provinces, and the leader of the United National Freedom Front. Welcome, Maithri. Welcome back to our program.
Thank you very much, Niresh. But this is the first time when I saw your call, I wanted to avoid it. Because I knew this was going to be one of the most embarrassing occasions I'm going to face in this program, after having got a massive battering at the election. And as you said, Sri Lanka gives various signals and noises with regard to elections and democracy. And we were completely against this 2/3 being given to anyone. But that has been thrown by the wayside. And the people have decided that they should not only have 2/3, they have got, I think, 159 seats.
That's correct.
So that's more than a 2/3. So we see it as very unfortunate that the balance of power should be maintained with any government. So that's how it is, Dinesh.
Well, we'll get to the 2/3 later.
Yes.
But how did your party do, the United National Freedom Front? You didn't contest island-wide.
No.
It was in 12 districts.
12 districts.
And you were, you said before the election that you were contesting because you didn't want any single party to get a 2/3 majority.
Precisely.
So how did you fare in the end?
No, we did not fare well at all. I mean, from the 12 districts, we polled something like 8,000 votes. So that is not a magnificent performance by any means. So, I mean, that is a massive message the people have sent, and to the extent that now we need to question ourselves whether it is worth it, coming forward, because elections are very expensive, it's time consuming and all that. And the other thing is, Niresh, the electorate wanted a different type of person. They didn't want the 225 which were in the last parliament, but we have seen the electorate acting in different ways in different places. Some of the most unwanted people have been re-elected, but over and above, they have elected a large section of new members into parliament, and out of them also, most of them have been from the NPP.
You are correct. There have been some strange signals sent in certain electorates.
And I think I told on the last occasion, there will be at least 175 new members, and I think my figures are almost
pretty much correct. Pretty much correct. Now, your premise for contesting the election was that absolute power is not a good thing. We all know this, and Sri Lankan governments have proven this maxim
time and
again, because we have had in the past, I think 4 times we've had 2/3 majorities. And it's been a disaster every time. I think the first was 1970, Mrs. Bandaranaike's government, and then 77, J.R. Jayawardena's, which went on until 1994, where an election was actually not held.
Correct.
And then, of course, we had Mahinda Rajapaksa, who turned around and, amended the constitution in
Precisely.
unnecessary ways. And then, of course, we had
2019.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and that was a disaster. So, 2/3 has traditionally been a disaster. We hope and pray it doesn't end up like that again.
Yes, because from the signs of course, this last maybe 4-5 days, and after President Dissanayaka's appointment, I mean, there doesn't seem to be an abuse of power by any means. So those are factors of some kind of comfort factors which we can bank on. But when things, this is the honeymoon period, no, Niresh. So during the honeymoon period, everything is tickety-boo, everything goes well. But then what happens is when things start getting tough, and when they find it, when they have to deliver, it's now the people have given them a mandate which they never even expected to get. So with this type of mandate, Niresh, the people will expect them to deliver as fast as possible, because everyone is desperate, everyone wants change, everyone wants benefits to come to them. So it is now the whole ball is in their court, and they will have to perform. Now they cannot give any excuses, because as you remember, once when we were in this program, they said that, okay, now we are only 3 cabinet ministers, we have just come in, so we need a little more time, no parliament, all that. But now all that has been given, and it's almost like a blank check. So they have to perform, Niresh. Otherwise, then the spotlight is going to come onto them, and it's going. If they don't, these very people are quite possible of turning against them, as what happened with Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
You're quite right that many NPP members were themselves quite stunned at what transpired. Those who I spoke to over the last few days said they never expected, they were hoping for 2/3, but they weren't expecting it, and certainly not in this fashion. And now, of course, as you said, there's immense pressure on them to perform.
They have to, Niresh, with this kind of power. There is no excuses they can give. So people are not, and if they start giving excuses, then that's where it's going to break the camel's back.
But Maithri, now on the one hand, you and I and most people know that change will take some time.
Definitely.
The economy is not going to, there's no magic wand.
No way.
So it's going to take months and years to recover. But people are impatient.
No, they are impatient. Dinesh, people are not interested in their learning curve. They are cutting their teeth. All that, the people are not interested. Basically, when they are given a job, they want performance. They want action. Because our people are, they enjoy 20-over matches, or this what you call T20s. We have a T20 culture. So even when it comes to government, they want to see T20 performances. So therefore, I mean, if these guys are trying to have a test match, God help them.
That's a very interesting analogy. Yes, we do have a T20 culture.
India, Sri Lanka, we are all T20 boys, so they don't want this, playing safe and all that. From the time you get into the crease, you have to have a 6 or a 4, otherwise you're of no use.
But what should the priorities of the government be? I mean, the promises were there.
Yeah.
Wipe out corruption. That's not going to happen overnight. No. Bring down the cost of living. Well, that will be a gradual process, and then the general economic recovery.
Niresh, the issue is this. The cost of maintaining the government of Sri Lanka is about 225 billion a month. our income is 150 billion. These are plus or minus up here and there. So there is a 75 billion shortfall. So with every passing month, this 75 billion is being borrowed by the local market, from the local banks. So that now the banks, the local banks, are very comfortable in lending to the government because the investment or the loan is secure. It's a government, it's guaranteed by the state. So as a result of it, Niresh, one thing happens immediately. The banks restrict lending to the public sector or their customers.
Right.
So when that happens, Niresh, people who want to invest and start moving forward, they are unable to do it because they don't have, or the banks
they can't raise the capital.
They can't raise the capital. So there is a automatic break which comes into operation by this fact. So the government not only will they have to stop the corruption, I mean that will have to happen, but they will also have to increase our production and decrease the waste. So there are ways and means of sorting it out. But now we need to see it happening almost immediately, Dinesh. Because if they continue like this, and if it continues for, we'll say 10 months or 1 year, then we are going into almost a 900 billion debt again. So when all this starts happening, and then over and above that, there are these privatizations which we have agreed with the IMF. They are not going ahead with it. My privatization of Air Lanka, then of the CEB, all these have been put on hold. Then the other thing is, Niresh, there are about 400 and maybe 15 or 20 SOEs which are sucking the coffers dry, the government coffers dry. Now, why do you need to maintain this? Even Mr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, 2 years, he could have easily come out with a plan and got rid of these people, these SOEs. But even he did not do it. I can't understand why he would have been the best person to do it. But that didn't happen there. Then now this government will have to do something. Because why should the taxpayer subsidize inefficient management of the government? There is no need. So these are factors which they can't take much time. They would have to have their plans. If they were coming into power, Niresh, they should have, I mean, immediately, okay, this is what we are going to do with the SOEs. This is how we are going to reduce the cost of the government expenditure. This is the way we are going to increase the earnings of the government. Now, these are matters which they can, I feel, can put forward immediately almost.
But Maithri, it's one thing to set those strategies, those targets, those things which politicians make those promises from the stages. But then when you are actually in office, sitting there with the bureaucrats, with the ministry secretaries and assistant secretaries and so on, and with the boards of SOEs, it's not so easy.
No, it is not. No, the point is, Niresh, now we'll say with regard to getting the government revenue increased. Now you take the customs. I would say if you have a proper, approach in the customs, without any problem, you can increase the revenue by 1 billion rupees a day. 1 billion rupees, because there is under-invoicing, tremendous under-invoicing going on there. Then there is a lot of customs hanky-panky, and a lot of the stuff is taken because by palming various officials there. So if the customs department, the excise department, and the income tax department, if these three departments are looked upon properly, or if they have had a plan as to what they are going to do after they got power, with regard to these three departments, Niresh, I would say all three departments will bring in at least 2 billion rupees additional income per day. So if they look at it that way, we'll say 1 billion a day. 1 billion a day, forget about the 2 billion. 1 billion a day means for 30 days, they bring in 30 billion. So out of the 75 billion which we are in the red, when you recover 30 billion, there is only 40 billion. So like that. Now, for instance, Niresh, I mean, this is just coming into my mind. I'm just telling you these things. Now, we'll say you take the prisons. Now, there are I would say about 10,000 prisoners who don't need to be there. They could have been, they can get bail, or they can be enlarged on bail, and for various flimsy reasons they are there. Now, for instance, if someone goes into this and sees how you can reduce this, then what happens is 10,000 people, 3 meals a day, water, electricity, all that is a cost for the state.
It's several thousand rupees a day.
It's several thousand
per prisoner.
Per prisoner. So now these are matters which can come into immediate effect, and it will take place within maybe 2 days, 3 days. It can happen, Niresh. So these are really areas which they can look into. And the other thing is, Niresh, now for instance, you get a lot of government buildings which are underutilized. You take the postal service, you take the railway service. Right now, I was coming from courts and I was pointing out to some of my colleagues, Maradana, there is a massive, not Maradana, Punchiborel, there is a massive post office. Okay? I don't think it is fully utilized. Now, if the government wants, I mean, they can generate, these are all income generating areas. So, well, I mean, it is their job. We can only suggest and we can only recommend.
But Maithri, what seems simple when we discuss or when it's on paper, it takes months and years, and especially now looking at some of the departments you mentioned, customs, excise, inland revenue, they have been known traditionally for corruption. Not all officers, of course, but the reputation of those departments. So now you can't sort of fire the lot of them. They are still there. How do you change them?
The point is, Niresh, now this government has a huge advantage. There is a benefiting factor. Because now when any other government was in power, there were many protests and strikes and things like that, which was led by the JVP. Now, they are the people of this country have appointed the JVP-led NPP to govern. So there is no one to strike and there is no one to protest now, right? So therefore it's basically smooth sailing. Now we'll say if Ranil Wickremesinghe was the president or someone else was the president, every action of the government had a massive protest. So now there is no protest, hardly any protest. So with that atmosphere, I can't see why they can't go ahead and implement these changes, quick changes, because that will benefit the country and the citizens of this country. So the mandate they have got is to do whatever it is necessary to see that the citizen is going to be benefited.
Yes, but even so, Maithri, yes, I agree with you. There would be less strikes and demonstrations and all that. But even so, you are just consider yourself to be a customs officer who is earning a certain salary, but he's making 3 times as much illegally, and he's got used to that way of life. Now we are asking him to go back to his salary. That's not going to happen. It's human nature.
No, when they say that they are going to get rid of corruption and they are going to stop wastage, Niresh, they have not qualified themselves by saying we are only going to stop the corruption of politicians and past politicians. Corruption, when they say they are going to stop corruption, it runs across the board, whether it is the customs, whether it is the excise, whether it is the judicial system, whatever, the police department, whatever it is. So, well, now it is time for them to perform. and all we can do is wait and we can comment, and we hope they will succeed because it will benefit every one of us, and we are the people who have opted not to leave this country and stay here. Okay, although the people have not accepted our candidatures and our contesting these elections, still as a part of a democracy, that's the way democracy functions. So therefore, now there is no excuses, Niresh. They have to perform.
Now, one of the panaceas that this government and even previous governments waved in our faces was digitalization. To cut out that middleman, whether it's in the customs or wherever, so that if you are importing something, you do it online. A lot of the paperwork is done online, and then there is no point where someone can demand a bribe from you.
Yes.
So digitalization is supposed to reduce a lot of this.
Digitalization is a must. It has to happen.
Yes.
But the point is, Niresh, how fast can it happen? Now, for instance, the customs, there was a previous government which bought a specific scanner to the customs where all the containers can be scanned. So you don't need a physical inspection of these containers. I mean, they never allowed those scanners to function. So if those scanners were functioning, Niresh, the state would have benefited by billions of rupees, because it is easy, you can, and there's a certain time it passes through, but they were vehemently opposed to these scanners being used. So now, okay, these people have got the mandate, bring in the scanners are still there, make it mandatory. Why can't they do it? Because if they are going to stop corruption, if they are serious in stopping corruption, if they are serious in stopping wastage, I mean, we have spent billions maybe on these scanners, because these are huge. They can scan containers.
Yes, this is at the Port of Colombo.
So we may need maybe another 2-3 scanners, but implement it within now. We have got 10 more days. From the 1st of December, this NPP government is telling the customs, okay, now you have to make the scanners going, because if the scanners are going, they can make a projection as to what is the additional income they can make. So, and I'm positive that it will be much more than 1 billion rupees a day.
Now, Maithri, these scanners were purchased several years ago. Right.
You seem to be annoyed when I am talking about the scanners.
It's the reality, Maithri. I would be very surprised if those scanners are in one piece.
But Niresh, you can't be biased. You can't be biased. These guys have said that they are going to stop corruption. They are going to bring in law and order. So if the scanners have been bought spending a lot of money, it is their duty. They have got the mandate. Niresh, what else do you want? What else do you want? I mean, they have got the mandate, so let them do it. We must push them to do it.
But the traditional method of bureaucrats in stymieing these efforts is simply to say, those things are old, they don't work,
No, but
and we have to bring new scanners.
No, so that will take another 2 years, because tender process and all that.
Absolutely.
No, but the point is, Niresh, that is where you need political leadership. Because now, having held government positions, they bring in various obstacles. So you need to be equipped how to avoid the obstacles and steer the ship forward. So that is the brilliance of government.
Now President Gotabaya Rajapaksa thought he could do just this, and he appointed military officers, senior military officers, to head many of these departments. I don't know whether it was customs or whatever, but many departments, you suddenly had a whole lot of military officers, and people thought, oh, that's good. But these military officers got nowhere. They would bark orders.
No, nothing happened. Nothing was carried out. No, correct. You're perfectly correct.
So, are we looking at perhaps a similar situation?
No, but what I'm saying is this: now, if you take the postal voting, 80% of the postal voting was with the NPP.
But
Therefore, you have no excuses.
okay, we're going to get back to the postal vote. We need to take a short break right now. We'll be right back with President's Counsel Maithri Gunaratne. Don't go away.
ජනප්‍රිය ගායන ශිල්පී මදුෂාන් නානායක්කාරගේ නවතම ගීතය නොදැනීම Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube ඇතුළු ඔබගේ ප්‍රියතම සංගීත සේවාවන් හරහා රස විඳින්න.
M Entertainments.
TV1. TV for life.
Tomorrow is the 21st of November 2024, a significant day in the political arena in Sri Lanka. Now, why is tomorrow a significant day in the political arena of Sri Lanka? Now, to give us a detailed report on this, we have our producer for today, Nilakna Gunasekara. Nilakna, why is tomorrow a significant day?
Yes, Joad. So the elections were held last week, and the parliamentarians who will be sitting at the 10th Parliament of Sri Lanka were chosen by the people of Sri Lanka, and the first session of the 10th Parliament will commence at 10 a.m. tomorrow. At that first session, a deputy speaker will be appointed, and also I must mention that there will be no seating arrangements for the MPs at the Parliament tomorrow. And in other news, former Minister Harin Fernando, who was arrested earlier today over an alleged violation of the election laws, was released on bail after he was presented to the Badola Magistrate Court, and the court ordered the former minister to be released on a surety bail of 500,000 rupees, and the case will be taken up again on the 20th of March 2025. And we will be bringing you a comprehensive report on these two stories and many more stories. You have to tune into our bulletin at 9 p.m.
Yes, so the political arena in Sri Lanka is definitely heating up. There are several developments surrounding stories, and at the same time, we also have certain developments in the international arena. To give us an update on this, we have with us today Chalani Ratnavira. Chalani, what do we have today?
Yes, Jad. So in international news, we have updates from the Russia-Ukraine war. Russia has reacted strongly to Ukraine's use of long-range army tactical missile system against its territory. Now, Moscow has described this situation as a new phase of the Western war against Russia. Now, this was followed by the US President Joe Biden's decision to provide anti-personnel mines to Ukraine. Now, a comprehensive report on this and more stories will be coming up in our primetime news bulletin at 9, so stay tuned.
Yes, just like Chalani said, a comprehensive report on these stories and more stories on the local and the international arena will be broadcasted on our live telecast of the Newsfirst Primetime Bulletin at 9 on TV1. So tune in.
TV1. TV for life.
Inaugural session of the 10th Parliament to commence tomorrow. Orientation for newly appointed MPs today. Decision to import Nadu rice capped at 50,000 metric tons. Ravi's nomination to national list was legal. Decision communicated to Ranil, says NDF General Secretary. A faction claims the appointment is invalid. Committee to investigate and report to Ranil. I am eligible for a national list seat, says Hirunika. Harin granted bail by court after arrest for violating election laws. Pillayan summoned by CID over Channel 4 documentary.
TV1. TV for life.
ජාතික මෙහෙවරින් අපි කතා බහ කරන්නේ පුරුෂ පාර්ශවයට කාන්තා පාර්ශවයට වෙනසක් නැතුව ආයුර්වේදයට අනුව ලස්සන වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා.
හොඳම මොයිස්චරයිස් එක තමයි කොමඩු.
යම්කිසි වයස් මට්ටම් වලට පැමිණෙනකොට ඇතිවෙන බෝන් නොවන රෝග තත්ත්වයන් තුලදී කොයි ආකාරයෙන්ද ඇස ආරක්ෂා කරගන්නේ?
බහුලවම අන්ධභාවයට පත්වන රෝගී තත්ත්ව ගත්තොත් ඇත්තටම ලෝකයේ ලංකාවේ දෙකම නම්බර් 1 ඇත්තටම තියෙන සුද ඇහි සුද.
නිරාමිෂ සිතුවිලි වලින් තමයි පිබිදෙන්නේ. ඒනට ප්‍රශ්නේ ටික වෙලාවක් යනකොට වෙනස් පැත්තකට යන්න පුළුවන්.
මූලික අරමුණ සියදිවි හානි වැළැක්වීම වුණාට ඕනම කෙනෙකුට ඕනම ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඕනම ගැටලුවක් ගැන කතා කරන්න අපිත් එක්ක යොමු වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
ජාතික මෙහෙවර සතියේ දිනවල උදෑසන 11ට.
Step away from the conventional art of storytelling. Get ready for the Newsfirst Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfikar Farzan.
Welcome back to Face to Face. We are with President's Counsel Maithri Gunaratne. Maithri, before the break, we were having a good laugh.
Nilesh,
We're still laughing.
I am wondering whether you're betting for the NPP or you're being bought over.
I am being realistic here. We have heard promises from many governments. Chandrika Kumaratunga.
Nilesh, these have no excuses.
Yes.
They have to perform. They have to perform.
Absolutely. But do you remember Chandrika Kumaratunga? Her tagline was Dushanaya and Bhishanya.
Yeah.
So what happened? The Dushanaya, nothing happened to it.
But the point is now, Chandrika, of course, I would say it was a rhetoric. But now this
But
government,
she didn't have this kind of mandate.
This kind of mandate. She also enjoyed the presidential election was a landslide victory for her. She got 62%.
Yes, but that was after the assassination of Gavini Dissanayake.
Yeah. So then now these people have no excuses.
So now we were talking about the postal vote, which is crucial. These are government servants.
Correct.
And these government servants overwhelmingly brought, they voted for the NPP.
Yes.
But these are the same government servants, not all of course, but many of them are the cause of many of the problems. I mean, the people in the customs, the people in the excise, all those departments. So on the one hand, they want change, system change. On the other hand, they seem to think that system change is simply change the president, change the parliament and the cabinet.
And continue the normal show.
Yeah.
No, that is not good. If it is going to happen, then this government is going to get into serious trouble. Now, if 80% of the state sector employees voted with the government, it is their duty now to pull the chestnuts out of the fire for these people.
Are you optimistic that the state workers will, by and large?
No, if they want their vote to be of any meaning, if they want to give some kind of credibility to their vote, I think they would have to. Now, if we'll say if I vote with someone, Nilesh, won't I want those people to succeed? So, irrespective, assuming that these people want the country to do well, and the NPP, the mandate to really make it meaningful, well, this 80% will have to forego their additional income.
Interesting thought indeed. I somehow don't
agree with me.
Agree.
No, but
the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
No, the point is, Nilesh, if it does not happen, Nilesh, we are in a mess. We are in a mess, and they are walking into a trap, or a situation where they are whatever the orders they are going to bark out are not going to be carried out. And if it is not going to be carried out, economic progress, forget it. Cutting down costs, forget it. Corruption, forget it. That's the long and short of it, Nilesh.
Now, okay, Maithri, let's get to the opposition. Absolute disaster. Sajith Premadasa's leadership is in question.
Very much.
Ranil Wickramasinghe stepped away, didn't run. but the UNP is a shell of itself.
Yes.
It's not even the UNP anymore. In fact, it didn't run as the UNP, it ran as UNF, and then the UNP with the elephant symbol ran in the central province. Primarily the CWC was using it. So it's rather a shambles, the UNP. Now, we need a strong opposition. Everybody agrees to that. Maybe the NPP doesn't agree right now, but they won't say that. Everybody says we need a strong opposition. But where is the strong opposition to come from?
No, so when the people have given a 2/3 mandate to the 2/3 plus mandate to the present government, and when the opposition is in shambles, in bits and pieces, it's a very unhealthy situation for a democracy. And I feel still there is no person in the opposition who will be able to rally these people around, Niresh.
But again, these two parties, the SJB and the UNP, have had the same leadership, the same leaders, Sajith Premadasa and Ranil Wickremesinghe, for so long.
Yeah.
And now that they have been badly beaten,
no, they are not going to change.
Isn't it time to step aside and
and
allow new leadership to come? Because as long as they are there, the new leadership just won't
emerge.
No,
Correct. The other thing is, Niresh, now I feel Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, being Ranil Wickremesinghe, I mean, whatever said done, he's an astute politician. He feels that these people are going to get into an economic rut within the next 3 to 4 months. And I doubt it. There are there are 2 nationalist vacancies in that party. One was filled by Mr. Ravi Karunanayake, and the second one I don't think will be filled. Obviously, like the last time, he will be waiting for the call, because ultimately what can happen or what may happen if these people are not going to reduce corruption, if they are not going to reduce increase the income of the country, if they are not going to follow the IMF, whatever the agreements we have reached with them.
But so far they have said that they are going.
Yeah, but then when you take the SOEs, the Lanka, the electricity board, those are the main money. What draws out a lot of loss and money from those organizations. So if they are going to keep them going, that may hamper the IMF agreement. So there is not that I hope it happens, but there is a slight possibility that they can run into some kind of economic crisis. So if they run into an economic crisis, then that can be there has to be an issue. There can be an issue, and the other thing is now tourism. I think that is an area where the government can fully focus, because if we can get 2 million tourists or 2.5 million tourists, as they are saying, to come into Sri Lanka in the next 1 year, that is starting from, we'll say, 1st of December till next year, that will change the whole landscape of our financial issues. So we need to see some kind of concrete plan. I mean, that is what they have to show. And they are just talking, okay, 2.5 million tourists are going to come to Sri Lanka is not going to solve the problem, because now, for instance, Niresh, you know that British Airways still does not fly to Sri Lanka, and the main airlines in all those countries don't fly into Sri Lanka for the simple reason that they don't have any reliance on our ground staff here, and the unions are so strong. They do exactly what they want, and even during the last few days there were certain flight cancellations because of go slow and various things of the union. So international airlines are not going to come into Sri Lanka because of these issues. So these are matters they will have to sort out as fast as possible.
Now, Maithri, it's interesting you mentioned the national airline, because yes, we've had some cancellations, a lot of delays.
Yeah.
It's all over social media, but a lot of it, to my understanding, is due to the age of this aircraft fleet.
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No.
Okay.
No. The the point is, now there are the ground handling staff, Niresh. Now those guys, they are a law to themselves. Now in Singapore, the same issue was there. When Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew took over Singapore, the same issue was there. So what did he say? He said, even if I have to close down Singapore Airlines, I'll close it, but I'm not going to be dictated by these unions. And he took a very, very strong stand. And as a result of that, they came around and it turned around. So we need Mr. Anukumar Dissanayake now to come and do another Lee Kuan Yew.
Let's not be too hasty in these, in the Lee Kuan Yew equation,
No,
because
point,
we had this before, where Gotabaya was supposed to be
so the point is
our Lee Kuan Yew.
Yeah, but the point is Niresh, otherwise how are you going to get this thing moving? You need strong leadership. You can't be a pacifier. You need strong leadership. So now, and the other thing is this. Now, if you're getting 2.5 million tourists a year, that is 27 flights coming into Sri Lanka per day. 27 aircraft bringing 250 people per day. If you calculate it, it's 2.5 million for a year. Now, do we have the capacity to handle that at the airport level? Absolutely no.
I think BIA is already overcrowded.
So now what the government has to do is, they must anticipate the situation. If this is going to happen, what are we going to do? Always there are contingency plans, which you can put into operation. So do they even have the contingency plans to put into operation? How are you going to cater to this situation? And the other thing is, Niresh, now you come into our airport, when you go to the immigration department, you get some angry guys there. You get some, they are not inviting at all. I mean, we call ourselves a paradise and beautiful country and all that. But you come to the immigration, you go to the duty free, you pass the customs, you come to the departure lounge, and you see the fighting of with regard to from the van drivers and the travel agents there. I mean, we must be thankful that we are getting so much of tourists even with all this. So these have to change. These are cultures which have come into operation due to political interference with the airport. The airport aviation minister will have his own cronies to do the van hires. Then the duty free is also given to some political catcher. So if you have
these were the practices in previous governments, but
it has to change.
It has to change.
It has to change almost immediately. Now, if you have been to the duty free, I mean, it is embarrassing to go to a duty free. Nowhere in the world do you get people, standing outside and, enticing people to, come and buy from us. I mean, that doesn't happen in any part of the world. But, all this is fair in a country like Sri Lanka. So, all this has to change, and these people have got the mandate, and let them do it.
Now, speaking of mandates, we have another election coming.
Yes.
The local government election. The Supreme Court has ordered it.
Correct.
And has in fact faulted both the the Election Commission and the President of the time for not holding it. So it's got to be done.
Yes. They're going to have it in, they are going to start, I think by February they'll hold it, Nilesh.
Yes, but how do you see this happening? Now, a lot of those candidates who were nominated are now in Parliament, where the NPP is concerned. With other parties, well, some of those coalitions don't even exist. Some party leaders have jumped ship. Some people
and a lot of people have left the country.
Exactly.
A lot of people have left the country.
And some people have died over the, it's been
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
How do you, and you know a lot about the law, of course. How do you
they
see
will have
this?
to call for fresh nominations. They will have to call for fresh nominations because now we had submitted maybe 50 to 50 local government bodies in 2023. 50 local government bodies right across about 16 districts. So most of our people have either some of them have gone abroad, some of them are out of politics. So to function with that list is going to be a problem, and I think that is inherent with all the political parties who anticipated to contest the local government in 2023. So I think they will have to call for fresh nominations.
Okay, so fresh nominations, but we can expect that result will also be in favor of the NPP.
Yes,
perhaps
the way things are going, Niresh, I mean, I don't want to make any guesses because
that would be 3 or 4 months down the road.
And the other thing is, one thing is this: it's a more intense election because now we'll say the presidential election is only one candidate, a parliamentary election is only 21 candidates in the whole district. But the local government election is, now we'll say Colombo municipality, local government election is, you get about 110 candidates who are running. So the campaigning is going to be intense, and it is a more or less a very personal campaign. So if you have been active in your village or in your area, and if people know you, so it is all on a personal basis that they vote. So it can be slightly different to this. And in addition to that, Niresh, this government also will, by that time it will be 3 months. They'll be in operation for 3 months. So they will be going. They would have done most part of the acid test. So then people will have to see, and they'll decide as to whether this is a success or not.
But okay, you mentioned possibly February.
Yes.
If we need fresh nominations, it would be February or March, perhaps.
No. It's only 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Right. Do you think that the voters will still be forgiving and say, well, it's only been 3 months for this government? Or will they be saying, well, it's been 3 months and we're not happy with
it will be a mixed feeling, Niresh. It's not going to be all tickety-boo, rosy and tickety-boo for them, but it will be a mixed feeling. And no, the other thing is this: if they can show some concrete measures which they are taking, which will gain the confidence of the people, then of course there is a lot of credibility. They will have a lot of credibility. So that part this government will have to do, and show the people, okay, we are going on these lines, we are doing this, we are doing that, and these are all going to benefit the citizen of the country of Sri Lanka. So they will have to perform and win the confidence of the voter, of the electorate.
Interesting. Of course, after that election, we may or may not have the provincial council elections.
But I think the president has promised the TNA and the Tamil parties that he's going to have the presidential. But anyway, that will be by next June or July. That will take some time. But the local government election, of course, is looking at us in our faces at the moment.
Interesting indeed, and of course we have so many thousands of candidates, in positions. But do you view having the local government bodies functioning again, in the sense of having elected officials, do you view that as a good step? There are people who say, well, why do we need these elected persons when the bureaucrats can run it?
No, correct. For a democracy to function, Niresh, you need democratic institutions. If you have now, presently when Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was president, almost for 2 years, Niresh, he had no provincial councils. He had no local government bodies. The parliament was almost defunct. He had a puppet as a prime minister. So he was the main man who was running the show. So basically, I mean, if that kind of situation very rarely comes. So once he was in that comfortable position, he could have really created massive changes and gained a hell of a lot of credibility if he saw it that way.
But then in his defense, he didn't have his people in
no,
government.
you can't. That's where everyone goes wrong. Once you are elected to that position, Niresh, you can't say these are not my people, these are someone else's people. That is not an excuse. People are not willing to take that excuse. That's why, I mean,
clearly they didn't.
They showed it to him. When you are given a job, when you are given a task, you're supposed to, come what may, perform. And if he had done it, people would have said, my God, this is the type of guy we need. This is superb. Right? This is superb. Now, if you take the NPP government, small things the president has done after having come into power, people are very comfortable with it. They are seeing great hope with those things. So, in the same way, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe had all the time and the opportunity to do it. And whatever said done, he was the executive president for 2 years or 2.5 years.
With all that power.
With all the powers. So, excuses are not acceptable.
Now, Maithri, we're almost out of time, unfortunately. One final question.
Yes.
How soon will the main opposition parties rise up again?
No, Dinesh, as I have told before in this program many times, I think now Mr. Sajith Premadasa and Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, all of us, including us, we must rethink our strategy. We must get together, at least for the local government election, as a coherent force. All parties, at least the SJB, the UNP, get together. Those like-minded, like-thinking people, if they can get together, then of course we are on a footing. We get onto a footing where there is a future. Otherwise, if the opposition is going to be divided in such minute, small groups, we have absolutely no chance. The opposition will have absolutely no chance.
Now, in the past, Maithri, when we have seen parties virtually wiped out,
yes,
it has actually, the turnaround has
been fast.
Well, it's depended on the performance or non-performance of the ruling party. For example, 1970, the UNP under Dudley Senanayake, people were questioning whether it would even survive because it got wiped out so badly. But then 7 years of Mrs. Bandaranayake and the hardships that the people suffered, and all of a sudden the UNP won 5-6. Of course, Dudley had passed away by then, but J.R. Jayawardena led it, and it was 5-6 from virtually nothing. And then we have seen this happen again and again.
Correct.
So, is it that the opposition parties should now sit back and wait for that to happen?
No.
Or should they be more dynamic?
No, nothing automatically happens, Dinesh. One thing is, if these people cannot perform, the opposition to them is going to come within this government. And it's a proven fact all over the world. When there is an extremely strong government, the opposition comes within the government, firstly. So if the mere fact that they are not performing, or if the people realize that they are not delivering the goods, then slowly the rumbling starts. Now, for instance, if you take Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa's regime, I mean, he got 69 lakhs voted for him, and people thought this is going to be the Lee Kuan Yew of Sri Lanka and all that. But within 1 year, 1.5 years, Niresh, things really turn sour. So, well, those are possibilities. And on the other hand, now in 77, when Mr. J.R. Jayawardena came into power, there was immediate action. Now, for instance, I will tell you, as he came, they started the Mr. Premadasa started the housing program. 1 million or 2 million houses for the people. So that went down well. Then the accelerated Mahavali program. The Mahavali, which was to be completed in 30 years, was advanced to 6 or 7 years. And Mr. Gamit Sanayaka was handed over with that. And then they said that, okay, we will have electricity all over the country. Otherwise, we were having a very bad electricity issue at that time. So with those, then the open economy. then the what do you call the free trade zones. So that inspired confidence in the population. And then they said, right now the free trade zones are going to come, foreigners are going to come and invest here, Mahavali waters are going. So those were all feel-good factors. And I suppose that's why that government was able to go on for maybe 17 years, till 1994, without much, no one rocking the boat very much. And there were undemocratic small things which they extended the life of parliament by one term through a referendum and all that is questionable. But still then, Niresh, they went on for 17 years, and in 1994 when they held the election, they lost only by one seat in parliament. They lost only by one seat in parliament. If they had one more seat, after 17 years, they would have formed the government again. So that's what I'm trying to say, that no time to waste.
So the opposition can't be waiting for things to fall into place for them. They have to
get their act together. And it's not very much. It's not very much. Now, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, Mr. Anil Wickramasinghe must realize that by their division, now for instance, if they were together at the presidential election, they would have got 51%. Both of those people being together. And because when you compare, when you add Sajid's percentage and RW's percentage, it's almost 51%. Whereas NPP got only 42%. So both of them were clear winners. So they threw it away. And then after that loss, when they go into the parliament election, the performance gets worse. So now at least, because they are the two main political parties, so they must get together and they must lead the way and get everyone to come and join them and make the difference.
Well, let's see if that happens. I have my doubts with those leaders, but those are just my thoughts. I'm afraid we're out of time. My thanks to Maithri Gunaratne.
Thank you for inviting me. I was a bit embarrassed to come into the program.
President's Council. And to you at home, thank you very much for watching. Don't go away. The news is coming up next. Have a good evening.